Hi. I figured out how to get my intro that I use for videos onto also streaming. So that's exciting. Hi, my name is Hannah. Welcome back to my channel, Hannah Needs to Yell. And today I need to yell about James Charles just being at it again. Um, Before I do that, I want to say hi. I've been gone for a while. I'm using different software to stream than I'm used to. So I need to find the chat. I know the chat exists. Let me know how the sound is. Let me know other stuff like that. Oh, I think I know how I can do this actually. Hold on, peeps. But hi, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see you. I just need to get to where I can see you all. I'm using a software to stream, and for some reason I don't have I don't have a chat box in this software. I thought I did. Okay, I can see you now. I can see you now. Okay. Okay, wonderful. Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much for letting me know it sounds good. All right, we're good. All right. So, hi. Let's consider today kind of a soft relaunch of my channel because I'm not like fully back yet, I feel like. I'm going to be over the next few weeks, but something has happened. Somebody did something that I just feel like I really wanted to discuss before I don't know, just like before I lost my own personal momentum about it. So, let me know in the chat. I know that there's other big stories going on. I'm gonna talk about Colleen. Back in the day when I when I left YouTube for a while, the Illuminati situation was going on, and I had plans to cover that. That's kind of seems to have fizzled out, but let me know if that might be something that you're still interested in the chat, in the comments. And then let me know especially your thoughts on what we have going on here as we go. I think I'm just going to get right into it. I think there's not really much purpose in waiting around at this point. So that's right. Our pal, our Lord, and actually, you know what? Hold on. This is very distracting. What is happening with the flashing and the da 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 da? We get it. It's James Charles. He's at it again. James Charles would like to come back to YouTube. He said he would like to be uncanceled, please. He asked, I guess, Cosmopolitan to give him that permission, as if they're the ones who have that power. I don't really quite understand. So yeah, he did this whole little nice interview with Cosmo. And I feel like it's worth talking about and reacting to. This is the first time I'm doing this type of video on YouTube or Twitch or otherwise. So let me know how you feel about this as we go. I just moved, I'm in my new setup, etc. So let's just get into this article because I rewatched all of my James Charles content today. If you're not aware, I made 3 videos about James Charles. The total content of those 3 videos is about 8 hours. Because it's me, it's about 8 hours of content about why he's a problem and why he has not changed over time. His career began with scandal. It has ended with scandal. It started with public scandal. After the bi-sister situation, it turned into private scandal that he was keeping private, the way he was interacting with men and boys. I would say allegedly, but like there's screenshots, there's proof. And all the while, the more that he kept making promises about the ways he was going to change, the less that those promises came true, and the less that he did change in any way. So if he is asking to be uncanceled, I'm very curious as to why he feels he deserves that honor. So let's get into finding out why. And hey, like the stream, subscribe to my channel, set your notifications to all that stuff. All right, James Charles would like to be uncanceled, says Cosmopolitan and the author Gabrielle Bluestone. Um, the photographs are lovely, honestly. I have no grudge against Dan Monick. These are great. They're flashing by a little quick for me, but great photos. After this is what just the first line. After more than 2 years after allegations of impropriety sent the superstar beauty YouTuber into influencer purgatory, he's hoping to relaunch himself and his brand with the help of a new makeup line. In a wide-ranging interview with Cosmopolitan, Charles talks about effing up and trying to move on. Yep, sure. This was back on July 13th. Yeah, okay, so I'm not that late. I'm kind of timely for once. That's fun. All right. It is just the tone that we're setting from the start. It is the year of our internet, 2023, and as surely as the sun rises, an internet celebrity has an apology to make. So here I am sitting in James Charles's Encino mansion like a pop culture priest ready to take his confession. He doesn't make any confessions, so we're being melodramatic. Let us begin. I don't want to sit here and effing mope and whine and cry because nobody wants to hear it, says Charles, sinking into a plush. So at least he knows. At least he knows that that's not what we're here for. I had to do a lot of thinking. Like, okay, babe, this is your fault. No, you're not a P file. No, you're not a effing G. No, you're not a... Give me ideas on how to censor all these things. But you made a big mistake. Let's be clear about exactly what James is trying and failing at describing here. James Charles in 2021 was like canceled. As much as you believe that cancel culture exists and works and whatever. Because there was the whole drama with Tati Westbrook and Shane and Jeffrey allegedly and like all of this shit, whatever. And he learned to kind of stop doing a bunch of online fighting as of 2019 to 2020. But here in 2021, a lot was uncovered about his interactions with boys and men, romantically / sexually / inappropriately / potentially illegally, possibly, that all came to light. And let me just be clear about one thing. And I'm skipping ahead a little bit to what the article is going to mention briefly, but as I said, I rewatched all of my James Charles content today just to make sure that I'm coming at this from a place of education and just filling myself back in on everything. There were at least 15 allegations, 15 individuals who came forward with stuff against James Charles. It stretched from minors to adults accusing him of... Honestly, there was at least one example that could have fallen under SA under the correct circumstances, or like, depending on if they wanted to sue for SA is what I'm saying, that they could. There was allegations of sexting minors, inappropriate, sending unrequested nudes and lewds to people, specifically seeming to kind of focus in on trying to get into relationships with minors and straight guys. And then, hold on, I feel like I'm talking a little bit too loud for how close my mic is to my mouth. Just a lot of very sketchy, very inappropriate behavior. And out of those 15-ish allegations, because there was the whole list that Def Noodles put together, right? And everybody has been very, critical of him because two of those stories turned out to be inaccurate. But there's still 13, at least, stories that seem to be accurate or substantiated, have screenshots, have not had the people come forward to say, oh, I was joking, I was lying for clout. So that's a vast majority, I would say, you know? So we really need to take seriously the danger that James Charles brings to the platform, whatever platform he's on. So I just, this kind of cavalier attitude of James Charles would like to be uncanceled, please, is lets me know right off the bat, just right from the title, what we're in for, which is somebody who's completely uneducated about the issue trying to write about an alleged potential criminal. Most recently, well, not most recently, but like what really spurred me to make my last video about James Charles, or my series, my 3-part series about James Charles, was at the time the most recent thing that I had seen that really just got me riled up was the story of Ricky Murda. His story is set aside as a highlight in a separate video because you don't need to watch 4 hours of content. You could just watch that story and kind of get the gist of why I was pissed enough to make 8 hours of content on James Charles. Ricky Murda's story is a little unique in that he was an adult. He had just turned 18 when James Charles started messaging him, but also James Charles threatened him with, basically threatened, according to screenshots, blackmailed him, threatened him to release his nudes or lewds if he didn't take down a TikTok that he had made about James Charles, just basically like saying, look, James Charles messaged me. So we're not just talking about someone who is doing all of these things. We're also talking about someone who's not only doing all of these very inappropriate and potentially criminal things, they're also willing to blackmail and extort the victims of their bad decisions, their illegal actions, into not talking about it. So just, if you get the level of what James Charles is alleged, or, depending on who you ask, proven by screenshots, proven by evidence, by communications, to have done, just say hi in the chat. Just let me know that, like, I'm among friends here on this, and that this is, like, wild to someone else besides me. That we're even considering approaching this, like, oh, James Charles wants to come back, please. Like, give me a yes in the chat if you're on board with, like, this man is a danger. He's pretty, but he's a danger. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. You know how I am. I do my long intros. I like to call it providing context, and I think it's important. Oh, we're not going to talk about intermittent fasting for senior. Sorry. Okay. All right. So we have our author, Miss Danielle. Yeah, Gabrielle. All right. How you doing, honey? All right. Let's talk about it, honey bun. At this point, she says, you're likely familiar with the specific quid pro quo inherent in celebrity. Okay, I don't care. So she's like, we're doing an article about a celeb who fucked the fuck up. So James Charles, you know what? No, I'll read it because I'm not going to shorten this. I'm not going to skip over it because it's important. At this point, you're likely familiar with the specific quid pro quo inherent in celebrity profiles like this, the ones that come together post-cancellation after a respectable amount of time has passed post-cancelable sin. The last cancelable sin that James Charles committed was about 6 months ago. What's this? This is July 17th, 2023. About 6 months ago, those videos and messages that he had with David, a straight adult man that he was talking to, and He sent the job description of being his boyfriend, and he sent those videos of like, well, this is why you really should be FaceTiming with me, because I could be saying, David, you're so annoying, or like, David, you're so fucking annoying. Like that whole like mask off moment that James Charles had with us, that was about 6 months ago. Also, sorry for like shouting. I forget that this mic is right here. I'm just passionate today about this topic. Okay. That was about 6 months ago. So is it a respectable amount of time? Debatable. It's no surprise that a star's willingness to answer intimate questions about a catastrophic stretch of their lives increases dramatically when they have a project to promote. In today's case, that's ostensibly James Charles's new makeup line, Painted. I don't care about the makeup line. Let me know if you care about the makeup line in the chat. I don't think anybody who knows what James has done I don't think it's gonna work. I don't. But it's also Charles himself. A warier, acceptably contrite. That's a judgment that you're making, but don't tell me that it's acceptable how contrite he is when we haven't even seen that in this article. But still just a little extra, Charles. This very interview is to be a trial balloon. Its reception, the answer to the question, both of us, and maybe you too, if what auto-populates in Google search can be believed, are here to ask, is James Charles still cancelled? What we really should be asking is James Charles changed as a person? Is James Charles better? Is James Charles making better choices? Has James Charles taken responsibility and accountability and paid up in any way for what he did to at least like 13 individuals, if not more? Because who knows how many have been silenced by blackmail, like he tried to do with Ricky Murda, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? Why is the question about, are we all done having our fit, instead of, is James a better person yet? That's what really matters. After all, would a still ousted person be allowed to pose for red carpet cameras at the People's Choice Award? Yes. Or chat amiably with paparazzi while out and about in Hollywood? Yes. That's the same reason that this person is, that you're writing an article about them. Because people are idiots who don't pay attention to this shit. Would a still banished person have hundreds of thousands of fans enthusiastically engage with his YouTube beauty tutorials? Yes. Because James Charles's primary audience is children. They don't know. They don't follow drama and commentary. They don't watch the news. They don't read newspapers and magazine articles and online articles like this. They don't watch 8 hours of Hannah Needs to Yell stupidly deep dive commentary content about everything that James Charles did wrong. They're 6. They're not watching that shit. So of course they see colorful thumbnails, especially more and more recently. His thumbnails have been geared more toward kids, that like animated brightly colored style. They see that and they're like, oh, the try not to laugh challenge? Woohoo boy, I'm 6, here I go. Come on, don't condescend to me. Don't insult my intelligence in this article. Come on, sweetie, come on, Gabrielle. You and I know that you're better than this. Although if you were, you wouldn't be writing this article, so never mind. Would a truly exiled person be 24 years old, unrelated, and living in a reportedly $7 million farmhouse that looks like a cross between the homes of blah, blah, blah? Also unrelated, not important. And also yes. There's a lot riding on the answer. Painted, a solo venture for 4 years in the making, launches in just a few weeks. People have speculated that I have partners or investors, which I don't know how that rumor got started, Charles says. This line is fully self-funded. Every single dollar that has gone into the brand has been from my personal savings and checking accounts. I have no investors, no partners, no billion-dollar backers behind me. All the more reason for me definitely not to put any money into this makeup brand, because it will all go directly into James Charles's pockets. Great. Thank you for the honesty, Jim. That's going to be a quote that she talks about later. Okay. That neither of us knows how it will go is due to the murky nature of cancel culture. It's not murky. He was inappropriate with a bunch of minors and straight adult men. Straight minors, gay or otherwise minors, straight adults, gay or otherwise adults. He was inappropriate. He misused his power as an influencer. He misused his parasocial relationship toward these people. And allegedly, he blackmailed at least one person he had tried to blackmail into silence. It's not murky. I don't know what's murky about that. There's screenshots. Come on, huh? I don't know why it's murky for you. It's not murky for me. The murky nature of cancel culture and its crisscrossing tripwires of implied and loosely enforced rules. The thing is, I'm not going to participate in this disingenuous critique of cancel culture. We're going to focus on James. And because of a hungry and fickle internet that doles out forgiveness, or maybe just forgetfulness, seemingly at whim. That's not a sentence, that's a fragment, first of all. Secondly, when you have a child audience, children keep coming back, no matter whether or not you're canceled. Because again, children don't watch commentary videos. That's all the participation. It's a landscape, hellscape, some would say, in which all comebacks are tentative, where the conversation around an offense often ends up obscuring the offense itself. When I polled friends and colleagues about Charles in the run-up to this day, the general consensus was that he had done something bad, but no one was clear on exactly what. Watch my series. Watch all 3 episodes, or really you could just watch the first 2 episodes of my series about James Charles. I will link it in the description. It's about the first 2 episodes is about 6.5 hours of exactly everything that James did wrong. If you can come out of that and tell me that you don't know what he did and why it's bad, then I have questions about you, not about James. My questions about James are answered. As a very online millennial, apparently not really, I had long been ambiently aware of Charles while also knowing next to nothing about him. So that's your fault. Great. The influencer's platonic ideal. Bored at home during the pandemic, I watched the Dramageddon feud he had with another YouTuber whose name I can never remember, so she goes on to shade Tati. This did not happen during the pandemic. Dramageddon took place in 2019. So you're just wrong. Thank you. Anecdotally, it seems like everyone in my life under the age of 25 considers Charles an internet celebrity, and no one over 45 has heard of him unless they have kids. What's the point? Those in this former group know that he's been famous since his teen years, although his storylines, so to speak, are all self-produced. What does that even mean? Charles first went viral in 2016 after he bought a ring light, and this is a lie, what she's saying. This story is fake. He did not. This is the very first. He did not bring in a ring light and use glossy highlighter to accentuate his cheekbones in his high school yearbook photo. That is what he posted about on Twitter that made him go viral, but he later revealed that that was a lie and he had photoshopped his own yearbook photos. So the fact that she doesn't even know the truth about that was how James Charles became famous and became a makeup influencer, YouTuber, whatever, was, that really kickstarted his career. He had been posting before that, but that was really what drew a lot of makeup related attention to him. So if she doesn't know that, she's not informed enough to write this article, or she's lying. It's one of those. Suddenly he was everywhere, the first male spokesperson for CoverGirl until he made racist tweets about Ebola in South Africa. A guest on Ellen, literally not a flex. Not a flex. He did a commercial with Katy Perry, filmed with the Kardashians, hosted a YouTube reality competition show aptly titled Instant Influencer. The combination of his, and a bunch of scandals in between there that we're just not going to talk about. Gotcha. The combination of his fresh-faced, youthful earnestness. Have you ever watched a James Charles video and said, wow, this is really earnest? and bold maximalist aesthetic, which is, again, his house is like black and white. What James Charles are you watching? I would love to meet the James Charles that you're watching, because it's not it's not the one that the rest of us have seen. Okay. Made him one of the most financially successful beauty YouTubers of all time, with a rumored annual income of, that's great. At one point, he was so popular that a reported 30-second appearance he made at a British mall drew thousands of that. Okay, that's so nice. No one's arguing that he's popular, but you'll notice his appearance at a British mall drew thousands of teenagers. Children. Kids. Okay? All right. Whew. In a corner of the internet known for constant sniping, backstabbing, and hopelessly convoluted rivalries, thanks to Jeffree Star for that one. The same lack of guile and perma-logged on status that drew viewers to Charles also made him a magnet for drama. No, he kept doing shit. He kept stirring shit up. He kept starting problems with people, and or just acting in a generally ignorant, offensive way at times. Watch my first video. It is all the public scandals. First video about James Charles. Not the very, very first one, but the first video from 2022. That's why he was a magnet for internet drama. Shit that he caused. There he was, posting regular apologies for things like insensitive tweets about Africa and Ebola, or asking Shawn Mendes to juggle me like that during an IG live stream in which Shawn literally juggled. Those are the only two things that I recall him apologizing for, out of the 13 to 15 drama moments that I cataloged in my video. So we're just not doing research. Boy, I could get a job at Cosmopolitan. It's really not hard, huh? If you just kind of scrape the surface and not much farther. Charles developed a reputation for a kind of over-the-top thirstiness, a quality that could be interpreted as refreshingly candid or slightly cringe, depending on who you asked. Again, who's watching James Charles videos and saying, wow, this is refreshingly candid? Are any of you refreshed by the candidness of James Charles's videos? Let me know. Just let me know. I just need to figure out where I'm at right now. Also, I'm going to look at the chat shortly. I'm sorry that I can't see it right now while I'm doing this, because I'm going to try to figure out how to set up a chat box where I can see it while I'm looking at another tab. But I'll wait for a topic switch in the article, and then I'll just take a quick look to check in with you guys, okay? So he developed a reputation for thirstiness, which, again, not a flex. His Dramageddon opponent initially accused Charles of using his fame to manipulate straight men. Not accused. At this point, that accusation is substantiated. Watch my videos. True to influencer form, she retracted the claim and apologized a year later. And I believe, in my opinion, the year after her retraction, which was 2021, when everybody came forward saying that James did just that, Tati was exonerated. So we're just leaving things out of the story for fun, or what? For what? Let me know, Gabrielle. Yet all the drama seemed to ultimately earn him one thing: more followers, and James knew it, and that's why he kept getting himself into more drama, because it got him more attention and got him more followers. At his peak, Charles had nearly 26 million YouTube subscribers. Not anymore. On top of tens of millions more on TikTok and Instagram. That was all before, though. You needed a comma after before. As what it reads as now is, that was all before, though. So I don't know what though is. It makes me... You need the comma after before for it to read the way that you just get a proofreader, Gabrielle, and also they'll be able to fact check what you write. I don't know. I guess Cosmopolitan doesn't have the money for that. In February 2021, at age 21, Charles confronted a career crisis he couldn't quickly apologize for or capitalize on. He was publicly accused of sending lewd photographs and inappropriate sexual messages to a then 16-year-old fan, no. In February, at least 5 people had come forward. 4 or 5 people. I watched my videos back. My third video in my 2022 series from August of last year, I said that about 4 or 5 people had already come forward by February of 2021 when he published the video, or like leading up to him publishing the video about the taking accountability video that he ended up deleting, which is very easy to find on the internet other places. So Charles said he was misled into believing the boy was 18 and that he blocked him as soon as he learned the truth. I've never been more disgusted in my life than when I found out that kid was 16 years old, Charles says. Now, I was mortified, absolutely mortified. The fan did not return Cosmo's request for comment. See, in a court of law, specifically, it does not matter whether or not you knew that the minor you were communicating with was a minor. You still go to jail, regardless of your intention or your knowledge. You still get in trouble for sending lewds and sexual messages to a minor. So, just saying. Just thought you might want to know that. The allegation triggered more complaints against Charles. Yeah, they were primarily disseminated in the form of TikToks filled with screenshots of flirtatious conversations that Charles allegedly had conducted with a number of male fans, some of whom were straight, many of whom were minors. We're just leaving that detail out, though, huh? A few of the reported accusations, like the initial one, were serious and claimed to detail inappropriate online interactions between Charles and minors. Okay, my assumption. My bad. Other claims, Other claims, including an incident which Charles allegedly called someone daddy, felt muddier. Almost all of them were eventually rounded up into viral Twitter threads by a controversial poster who keeps track of internet scandals, now under fire himself. This is Def Noodles. Def Noodles is not under fire right now. Last year, he had a whole moment with the comedy shows. That has long since ended. And again, for those just joining the stream, Def Noodles made a list of at least 15 people who came forward with allegations against James Charles, and 2 of those turned out to be inaccurate in some way, shape, or form. The other 13 or so were not disproven. We're not like, oh, this was just a joke, or I made this up for clout. So do not come at me discrediting Def Noodles when, again, James is the one we should be asking about. James's progress, James's change, if any. And even if James has changed and is no longer seeking out minors or straight men, do we need him here, though? Because what he offers is offered by about 100 to 1,000 other creators on the internet. He has his millions. He has his $7 million farmhouse. Let someone else get a piece of the pie, Someone a little younger and fresher and not a sexual predator, allegedly. What is the... That's the photo I need in my Cosmo article. Okay. Let me take this moment to check in the chat. Hey, peeps. Let me just say hi. At least Tati, shut up. She actually learned the lesson we want from people who start drama. It will probably sell to Cosmo users that don't have full context. Absolutely. How's everybody doing? Sorry, I'm like a little bit behind in the chat. I think that really there's a delay between where I am and what you guys are seeing in the in like there's latency, there's lag, whatever. Um I think she knows how awful she is, but she wanted a paycheck. She drops clues here and there that she knows dang well why he's considered toxic at best. She just doesn't give a fuck. And I just wish that of all the people to not give a fuck about, it wasn't Jimmy. He's a danger. He's a danger. And I just don't really get why people don't give a fuck about really truly dangerous people. Okay, all right. So I think we're all on the same page in the comments. We're all like on the same wavelength. So I appreciate that. Let's get back to it. Let's just get into it more. In the end, substantiated or not, substantiated matters. What do you mean substantiated or not? Media reports indicated that at least 15 boys and men had accused Charles of inappropriate behavior. It matters if and when they were substantiated. What do you mean substantiated or not? It matters. That's the crux of this. Jeez. Charles says now about the breadth of the allegations, the source of where the list came from was not doing any sort of research, no fact-checking. Not true. Def Noodles compiled everything, but he was not the source. The source was all of these individuals who were providing screenshots. Def Noodles is not a source. He's a reporter. This is really easy. I don't know how James Charles is sitting here in 2023, about a year after his 2022... Oh, God, what happened? Was it a year ago? No. Something happened a year ago. But no, about 2 years after, sorry. 2 years after he came back from the 2021 cancellation, and he made his, not the taking accountability video, the one that guys, my brain still isn't so good. This is the thing. I'm not like back all the way to YouTube and to the way that I want to be because my brain is like, whoop. Sometimes I'll talk about it at the end of the streams, my progress with the insomnia and the treatment and stuff. It's long story, but my brain, executive functioning, memory, gone a lot these days. An open conversation, that's the one. That video was in July of 2021. He made all these promises. He discredited the entire taking accountability video from 3 months earlier, where he had actually tried to like take accountability for some stuff and apologize for some stuff. He didn't do it perfectly. We all know that. But I think that was a much more honest effort than an open conversation, which was his final word on the matter in July of 2021 when he came back and just decided that he was coming back now, whether we liked it or not. I don't know how he can sit here in 2023 and still be saying shit like this. There was no research. There was no fact-checking. Some of the screenshots depicted consensual conversations between adults. Others were completely fake and never even happened. You want to specify? Because that would really help. Charles had never been legally charged with engaging inappropriately with a minor. Doesn't matter. First of all, being legally charged is not a thing. You can be criminally charged, or you can face a civil lawsuit. The fact that people didn't sue you makes sense because you're a millionaire, a multi-millionaire, and these random people you were talking to are not. So that's just a logic. Obviously, they're not going to sue you because they probably can't afford it. And being criminally charged, I am personally very bitter that the LAPD exists, or whatever police in his town exists. All of these allegations exist, and no investigation seems to have been done. Nobody seems to be looking into this stuff because it's very obvious what's going on here. There is evidence. But the fact that it has not been charged does not mean that it did not happen. Charles has never been legally charged with engaging inappropriately with a minor, let alone proven to have knowingly done so. That's not true. Bruh! The many screenshots. What more proof do you need? Nevertheless, that April, Charles uploaded a 14-minute YouTube video called Holding Myself Accountable, where he admitted to inadvertently exchanging messages with two 16-year-old boys he said he was led to believe were 18, and he apologized for his desperate behavior. Cosmopolitan reached out to multiple people who said they were minors at the time of their exchanges with Charles. One asked if we would be willing to pay and did not reply again when told our publication does not compensate sources for interviews. Honestly, justify, like, if we've been talking about this whole Colleen Ballinger thing, right? We've been talking about the G word in association with her. I think that some of this James Charles stuff can also be seen with his communications with minors as being falling under the G word category, okay? So yeah, if Cosmopolitan, and apparently this extremely careless, insensitive writer, reaches out to me to ask me to make a comment about my G word, I'm gonna at least ask to be compensated for the emotional labor of reassessing and rehashing my trauma that I'm doing for their benefit alone. Yeah, I have no problem with an alleged victim asking to be compensated for the labor that they're going to have to do to give you a story that your name is going on. What? Is that supposed to be a gotcha? Another former accuser wrote back via Instagram DM with a new revelation. He had, this is so poorly worded, come on, Gabriel. He said, already privately apologized to Charles a few months ago for, quote, telling him I was 18 a few years ago and the TikTok I made that blew the situation up, end quote. When asked to elaborate, the person did not reply. Charles's team says someone did message Charles this spring, admitting he lied about his age. Would be helpful to know who that person was, because I would like to be accurate in my reporting. So let's say out of the 15, there were 2 that we know that Def Noodles has said he got wrong, and then there's one more that apparently is admitting to Cosmo namelessly, could be a real person, could be a lie, for all I know. There's no name, there's no proof, there's nothing. But if we believe Cosmo, which at this point I've seen a lot of lies in this article so far, so I don't know if I should, but if I was to give them the most benefit of the doubt and believe that this is true, that means that 3 out of the 15 people who came forward have been either disproven or have admitted to lying. Great. So what about the other 12? 12 people have come forward to say that at least 12, because there have been more incidents since then, since that list that Def Noodles made. At least 12 people, and I can think of at least 2 more. So 14 people have come forward about inappropriate interactions that they had with James Charles. And we're focusing on the 3 that may have been a problem. And we're focusing on 1 that wanted to be compensated for their work. God forbid. When are we going to focus on the 12? Or the 14? Get your priorities straight. Come on, honey. If a celebrity with tens of millions of followers came sliding into your DMs, would you respond? I probably would. That's exactly the problem, Gabrielle. That's the issue. Come on. That's the problem. Parasocial relationship, misuse of your power, knowing that you have power over your fans and using that power to get what you want from them, breaking their boundaries. This is what James Charles has been alleged of doing, but also there's evidence beyond of all the people. Like, there's so much evidence. Sorry, I know that some of you guys don't like it when I like smile and laugh when I talk about this stuff. It's the part of it is like a laugh so I don't cry response. It's also the ridiculous nature, the ridiculousness of Gabrielle truly making these statements without seeing. Come on, honey. You've got to be joking. It's like, it's got to be a joke, right? This take, this is your take. It's not a flex to say if a celebrity with tens of millions of followers came sliding into my DMs, I would respond to that. So what? That's the point. That's called a power imbalance. Yes. That's why influencers with tens of millions of followers should not go sliding into DMs. You're proving our point. The people who want to cancel James. Like, what do you think you're saying? Because it's not working. Charles says he recognizes the power imbalance at play in his interactions online. Good. He should have verified everyone's ages, he says, and been more sensitive to how his fame could color the way others responded to him. And can I just say, this lesson of he should have been more sensitive to how his fame could color the way others responded to him, that has been the exact same lesson that James Charles has been trying to learn ever since the beginning of his career. Ever since, like, the Ebola tweet, that was probably the first one. I have to think back because I watched the video this morning, but yeah, most of his scandals have been about him not thinking before he tweets, not thinking before he messages people, not thinking, or at least pretending not to think, just doing stuff without considering, or at least seeming not to consider, how his power with his fan base impacts the power of what he says and gives it a greater platform and greater significance because of his huge fan base. He doesn't, I mean, this is the thing. It's 2023. He's been doing this shit online since 2017. He's been here for a while. And he's still apparently trying to learn how his fame colors the way others respond to him. Because again, 6 months ago, he was in a straight man's DMs and sending him videos about how he should be FaceTiming him because otherwise he might not be able to interpret the tone of the message that James Charles is sending him, even though emojis and tone indicators exist and are well-known options. You know? The fact that James Charles is, like, still coming to grips with his own influence as a millions followed influencer after 6 years at least of having a platform of millions is just whoo. Oh, honey. This is why. This is why, Gabrielle. This is why we're not okay with him coming back. Because he's still got a lot more learning to do. And by the time he's done learning, he's probably going to be like 55. And by then, I think he'll be a little bit out of touch with the youth interested in the colorful makeup market. My God. Again, great photography. This is a great shot. And that's a very... I don't hate that shirt. I don't. Oh, I absolutely did fuck up, James says. But he denies that he ever engaged in grooming, a practice defined by the anti-sexual violence organization RAINN as, quote, manipulative behaviors that an abuser uses to gain access to a potential victim, coerce them to agree to the abuse, and reduce the risk of being caught, end quote. Of course you don't think that you groomed people. Groomers don't tend to come out and say, that kid, I groomed him. I don't know why that quote is in here. It offers nothing. It means nothing. Anyway, Charles continues, I feel like that word is very subtly referencing Colleen Ballinger. I feel like that word is a very popular buzzword right now, especially in politics and stuff. But the actual meaning of it has been so misconstrued. Yeah, it has been misconstrued because there are ways to G-word people that are not sexual, for example. And there are ways to G-word people without meeting them in person. There are ways to G-word people like what you did, like talking to minors sexually and sending lewds and nudes. So, yeah, we really should have a discussion about all of the different ways that G-wording can happen, including what you did, allegedly. Referring to the first allegation against him, he adds, "The conversation lasted 1 hour. I don't know this person. I've never met this person. Nothing happened between me and this actual person. So to use that word is categorically incorrect." You brought up who used the G word? You did. You brought it up. Hello? Also, you can groom someone for a short amount of time, and that doesn't make it not grooming anymore. What? Okay, in the absence of hard evidence, completely false, hordes of commenters and bystanders glommed onto the idea that that Charles was creepy, irresponsible at best, possibly predatory at worst. No, definitely predatory at worst. If we're talking about worst, he should be in jail for a very long time. His apology, one in a burgeoning and much mocked genre of YouTube influencer mea culpas, was full-throated, but it did nothing to quell the furor. After years of benefiting from online controversies, thank you for pointing that out, because James Charles, as you refer to him, Charles, has told people multiple times that he capitalizes on controversies to grow his platform. Charles had officially become too toxic for the internet. It's not about toxicity. It's about hurting kids. And it's about sexual impropriety, sexual misconduct. That's not toxic. That's illegal. It's criminal. It's abusive. What are you doing? His YouTube page was demonetized. He did not return as the host of Instant Influencer, and his other business ventures languished, as they should. All of those were appropriate responses. He and Morphe, an influencer-focused beauty brand with which he'd partnered on an eyeshadow palette and brushes, cut ties. Good. Charles's team said that this was done at their own request after they saw Morphe getting backlash for associating with Charles. This is a history lesson that is great. One estimate put his total loss of income in the millions. Deserved. What? Do you want me to feel bad for him? Is that what... You want me to feel bad for the millionaire who was sexually misconducting his way across all of the internet, all of TikTok, all of using TikTok and Instagram as dating apps, which they're definitely not. But in 2020, after the Tati and Bai's sister situation, he decided to host a TikTok bachelor thing because in January of 2020, he was like, I'm going to get wifed up. Everybody here on this non-dating app submit applications to be my boyfriend here on TikTok, which is not a dating app, even though Tinder and Grindr and other apps exist. Let's talk about it here on TikTok. And the only people who are going to see this are my followers, who are my fans. So I'm asking my fans to submit videos of themselves telling me why I should date them, despite the imbalance of power there. Like, come on. Why should I feel bad for that? Come on. Again, great photo. Can we stop intermittent fasting for seniors? Okay. Anyway. I can't even begin to explain to you how bad that week of my life was, Charles remembers as he looks out at his backyard. The imagery, Jesus. I was crying myself to sleep every single night. I was sitting there in bed staring at my phone. I wanted to kill myself. I'm going to need to censor that if I make this into anything else. I wasn't talking to anybody. Yeah, maybe you felt bad. Maybe you felt guilty about what you did. What? Why do you want me to feel bad for you? People threw food into his yard, the horror, and spray painted his property's fence, So the fence did its job and kept them out, prompting him to hire security. You know what? I don't want him to be physically harmed. Get security. That's fine. I think I've always been somebody who's been able to cope, he continues. I have been able to turn my phone off, to go see my family, to have friends over, go to an escape room, watch a fun movie, play Mario Kart, play Minecraft, build a Lego set, all of these kids' hobbies. I have been able to do those to make myself feel better. My inner child, or my current child, I'm 24. Yeah. With this situation, it was really scary because my coping mechanisms weren't coping. It was the first time where I was like, oh, I actually don't know what to do here. I eventually got to a point where I was like, this is not healthy. This is not good. This is getting to a really fucking dark place. The fallout became deeply personal when his younger brother, who works as a model in New York City, stopped talking to him because of the allegations. It's now been 2 years since they last spoke, Charles says. And that is very difficult. I don't want to downplay. I do believe that James went through some kind of a mental health dark time, depression, anxiety, all of that stuff. What I'm trying to say is it's completely a natural response to what was happening to him. It makes sense that when you suddenly realize, oh, I did a really bad, that you would feel guilty, you would feel depressed, you would struggle with what you did, why you did it. And that's not even what he's describing here. He's just saying, I wasn't talking to people and I was crying and I was staring at my phone. He's not saying I was grappling with my morality. I felt existentially rocked by what I had done, and by what do I have a moral compass? How do I trust my moral compass? That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about cancel culture. I don't want anybody to hurt themselves in response to experiencing cancellation, and that I just also think that, like, let's not pretend that this was not a very normal way for him to respond to being called out. Like, it's that moment of self-reflection and of like, oh, I feel guilty and I feel bad because I did bad. That's good. That's a natural connection. Why should I feel bad for, like, the appropriate response to what was happening? That's where I'm at. Treading a well-worn post-scandal path, Charles spent the next few months mostly offline, doing, quote, a lot of self-reflection, end quote, and conferring with mental health professionals. Good to hear. That was something that I was talking about a lot in my series. There was a resounding lack of discussion about James Charles ever going to see a therapist. So I'm happy to hear, at least here, that he was seeing mental health professionals. That is really good to know. I'm glad that he was relying on people to help him instead of him just guiding himself, because it's really easy to walk yourself down the wrong path when you only have yourself to rely on. And while a couple of months may seem like a laughably short time for a break, to Charles, having no stage felt like an endless punishment. That's an addiction he needs to break. I've been on break for a couple months now, longer than I expected to be. And I gotta tell you, having no stage is fine with me. I had other stuff going on. I was taking care of my mental health. I was moving and unpacking. The amount of packing, moving, unpacking, doctor's appointments, stuff. I didn't need a stage. I still don't need a stage for like a minute. There's an addictive quality to this. Anyway. I absolutely fucking hated it, he said. I am somebody who likes to be busy all the time. You can be busy in other ways. Just try it. I love filming. Having nothing to do drove me insane. In the summer of 2021, Charles prepared a comeback video, a 30-minute YouTube post titled An Open Conversation, which began with the acknowledgement that it would be ridiculous and irresponsible to try to just come back to social media and pretend like nothing happened. It quickly became YouTube's most disliked video of the week, according to Forbes, although it's been watched more than 6 million times to date. So what? Unrelated. Objection relevance. His next post about a TikTok cookie trend was only the third most disliked video of the week. So now we're... That's good. That's good. That's good. So it's no longer about, am I trending? It's about, is my video not the most disliked video on YouTube? Very different standard by which we're deciding whether or not to move forward with YouTube content creation. Great. Keeping up. It's a glass half full perspective for sure. So Charles kept posting, driven by what I'd armchair therapist diagnose as a compulsive need for online interaction. It's not just his brand, it's been his entire personality since grade school, since his senior year of high school. He had 16 other years of just being a person. Let's not... Yeah, okay. Again, great photo. Great photo. Beautiful. The composition, love this. Oh God. All right, hold on. I just need to take a quick break. Oh my God. Is he trying to save his own butt since the Miranda allegations have finally been published? There's a lot of similarities here between the Miranda stuff and Colleen stuff and the James Charles stuff. I'll just say that. I do feel like that's something. Also, have I been screen sharing have I not been screen sharing the article for like a while? Sorry, I'm looking at there's a lag so I can see what you guys have been seeing for a little while, and it looks like I'm not screen sharing the article. Please tell me. I was trying to screen share the article. She's an attorney. Is Gabrielle an attorney? Then in that case, she's definitely purposefully lying and glossing things over. We could see it. Thank you, Taya. I don't remember, but I remember you from the last chat. I just don't remember if it's Taya or Taya. I'm so sorry. If you go to the article and click her name, it pulls up her credentials. Oh my God. I hate it. She's doing the attorney thing. MCS Maria 28. Hi Hannah, how is your health? Thank you for asking. I will discuss it more at the end after I get through the article and kind of get through the meat of what the stream is about. Oh, thank you for the reminder to like the stream. Thank you. Hi people. Okay, I'm glad that you guys are joining in on the stream. Okay, awesome. Oh no, I don't remember what I said second. Is it Taya? I think Taya. All right, thank you guys. All right, so, Ay. That makes so much sense that she's a lawyer or that she's like a defense lawyer or something. Because, let me see. Hold on. I'm not, I don't know how to mark. I'll look at her credentials when we're done reading through the article. How about that? Because that is very fascinating to me. Yeah, we'll take a look at that after. Oh, excuse me. All right. Let's try to finish this up. And listen, I think there are reasons to be sympathetic toward James Charles. As I discussed in my big old 4-hour video, I think that he experienced some sort of essay in some way. I didn't do a trigger warning for this stream. I guess... I mean, I should have. I'm sorry. I didn't even think to do that. I'm so sorry. I thought about it earlier today and I didn't think about it now. By now, all the triggers have already triggered, but sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I'll keep that in mind more for the future. Yeah, so I think that there are reasons to be like to give him just the slightest amount of sympathy, just knowing that when James Charles was a kid, there was this period of time when he was addicted to going on Omegle and talking in a sexual manner with like old stranger men. He talks about this in a video that he published in 2018, in May of 2018, and like that was his first experience learning or really being exposed in any way to like sexual interaction with other people. And as it says here, he was the only out gay kid in a small town in school in a small town in Albany, New York. So like, he felt isolated, so he turned to the internet for community, and what he found was completely not what he bargained for. And those people took advantage of him. He was essayed. I would say he was G-worded. I don't know if G-word applies here, because on Omegle it was always you would talk with a random person each time. You don't talk to the same person over and over. That was part of the point of Omegle, was that every time you would talk to somebody new, every time you would go to do the video chat part of it. So, oh, Dixie's walking over and crashing dishes on her way. And so I think that absolutely can warp somebody's mind when it comes to like how to interact with people, when it comes to dating and sexuality and relationships and stuff. However, that happened when he was 12. I would hope that between age 12 and like 17, when he became a part of social media, that he would have ideally, I hope his parents got him therapy. Or alternatively, I hope that he, was able to have some deep conversations with his parents or his friends or his church or somebody to kind of help him process through that in some way. Ideally, one would hope. And ultimately, it's not an excuse. An explanation of him having bad experiences in his childhood does not excuse him kind of taking out the same pain that he experienced onto other people. And I don't know, it's just like, it sucks. That's the one place where I have a little bit of sympathy for him, but it's not even necessarily in the way of like, now it becomes an excuse, because it's not. It's more of like, how did we get here? How does a person like James Charles come into existence, where he, first of all, thinks that this is a way to talk to people, and then secondly, can be told over and over and over and over and over again to stop, and just still thinks that he is fine to keep going forward with how he talks to people and who he talks to, and if he just changes his strategy a little bit, he'll just be able to continue doing what he's doing, no matter how many times people tell him it's inappropriate. When I'm like, how does this happen? How does such a person come to exist? that this is their mindset. Then that's where I look at that stuff from the past and I'm like, okay, at least I get where it comes from. Doesn't mean I agree, doesn't mean I support it, but at least I understand like how this comes to be, But there are plenty of people who are victims of G-word behavior who don't do this. There are plenty of people who are victims of SA who don't do this, who don't have the same, voluminous resume as James Charles in this regard. So it's not like those things make you destined to become what James Charles is. So it's something. It's something. Because right now, I say that because here in the article, they're like trying to humanize him and trying to make him sympathetic to me as the only out gay kid in school in a small town outside Albany, New York. James Charles found his community on social media, he says. So like that being like, oh, he was lonely, he was looking for community. Like, that's not something I feel as like sympathetic toward compared to the like, yeah, he endured SA in some internet kind of way when he was 12. That's something that I'm like, ooh, like the part of me that wants to protect children is very like angry at Omegle about that. But it doesn't excuse what's happening over the past 6 years with him. First on Tumblr and then on Twitter and Instagram, skipped over the whole Omegle bit. We liked each other's blogs and would talk back and forth and Skype call on school nights to just chit-chat and hang out. When he was 13, he'd travel to New York City and meet the girlies he'd met on the internet. Romantic relationships would become a whole other challenge, one that ultimately led to the incidents, he said. Finding dating prospects in the rarefied influencer celebrity strata he eventually vaulted into was tough. Quickly, please name 5 famous male gay celebrities from the ages of 20 to 25, he says. You can't because they don't exist. Challenge for the chat. Quickly, please name 5 famous male gay celebrities from the ages of 20 to 25. Can you do it, chat? Because James Charles says they don't exist. And that's why, apparently, allegedly, he has to scour through social media and reach out to all these influencers, like micro-influencers, and exert his power and balance over them because there's not 5 male famous gay celebrities from the ages of 20 to 25. And even if that's how he feels, like he could date a 26-year-old, he's 24. He's 24. He could date probably up to age 30 and still like have a decent conversation and a decent relationship with them. You know, age is, well, once you hit mid-20s, you once your brain fully develops, essentially, you can relate with other adults a lot more easily. Name 5 famous male gay celebrities from the ages of 20 to 25. Yeah, these people don't exist, so this is why I need to. Lil Nas X. But they don't like him. Yeah, for real. Let's be real. Based on that whole like David clip that came out about the what are the like qualifications to be my boyfriend? I have a great personality, but also I need my man to be 6'2" and have armpit hair and be willing to go to escape rooms with me, and we'll occasionally FaceTime, and then you can live at my mansion. I think he sounds insufferable. I think that's what's happening. Oh my god. And so that's why, because either he's insufferable or because 5 famous male gay celebrities don't exist from the ages of 20 to 25, he has to, as he says, use the internet as an avenue for exploration. He started using TikTok's For You and Instagram's Explore pages as dating apps, as many people his age do, but admittedly ignored the pitfalls. This is the thing. Do many people use your For You page and your Instagram Explore page as a dating app? Truly. Because, like, when I see somebody on TikTok or on my Explore page, I'm like, oh, they posted this because they're an influencer, or they're telling a story. They're like, I watch a lot of dancing videos, like especially cultural dancing videos. So I'm like, oh great, they're showing off this cool dance that I've never seen before. I'm not thinking, oh, I'm going to reach out to try to date that person. And it's not just because I am engaged. It is because it doesn't occur to me that would ever be a thing. Like, am I out of touch? Am I getting old? I turned 30 during my break. I had my 30th birthday. So maybe now I'm just like completely out of the loop. But truly, I thought that that's what dating apps are for. Tell me what I'm missing. Do many people James Charles's age, about 24 years old, use a For You page and an Explore page as a dating app? Because I really... Okay. He ignored the pitfalls, he says. His biggest mistakes, he now thinks, were making himself too available. He was the one reaching out to everybody. by the way. He was the one sliding in everybody else's DMs. He, the powerful influencer with millions of followers across all of these platforms, was the one sliding into these micro influencers' DMs. But he was just so available to them. Come on. Come on. He was recklessly hitting on anyone he thought might be showing him interest. That's the problem. Okay, you got one. Yeah, you got one. You were hitting on anyone he thought might be showing you attention. Except that most of the time they weren't showing you attention. You just like saw Shawn Mendes juggling for his audience of millions. That's not him showing you attention. That's him putting on a performance. I think that's why, like, I don't know that the For You page or the Explore page is a good place to like be a dating app, because people are performing. They're producing content. They're producing like performances. They're not there with the intention of romance or hookups or relationships. They're there to show off their juggling or whatever. Like, they're not thinking about you, James. When Shawn Mendes was juggling, you were not on his mind. You know? I'm sorry. It's just the truth. Someone's got to tell you. His intention was never to prey on minors, he says. It doesn't matter in a court of law, but he still feels like he needs to say it. He tried to explain all this in Holding Myself Accountable, but it just didn't come out right, he reflects. And let me just say, and I said this in my series, I feel like Holding Myself Accountable, that video, the first video that he posted in 2021, that was a much better attempt at an apology video than an open conversation, which came out in July. Because in Holding Myself Accountable, I think let me be honest with you, with the whole I'm desperate thing, and the like, in that video he talked about power imbalance as well. I think that he was like starting down the road of self-reflection, and he had these incomplete thoughts that needed to be fleshed out in therapy about like, why is this happening? Why am I doing this? Oh, it's because I'm desperate. And there was more to uncover there. That was an incomplete, underdeveloped thought before he put it online. And it was not the correct conclusion to come to. There was more there that needed to be unearthed in therapy. I think that he spoke too soon. And I think that he had not really gotten to the bottom of the issue when he kind of thought that he had by saying, I'm desperate. Like, you still need 3 more therapy sessions to get below I'm desperate to I'm whatever else is beneath that, you know? But that was what he had at the time, and that's what excuse me, my voice is going. I haven't filmed in so long. I think to him it felt like a revelation. So when he was making Holding Myself Accountable, he was like, I'm going to be honest. He admitted to doing several things. He didn't admit to doing a lot. There's a lot that's still out there that he didn't admit to, but he admitted to at least a couple. And he, there were steps toward doing the right thing, even if he wasn't quite there yet. I talk to my sister about this sometimes, where I'm like, there's a spectrum. Can you see this on screen? There's a there we go. Yeah. There's like a spectrum. Okay, here's what I'll do. I'll change the thing. I think that when you want somebody to do the right thing, there's a spectrum between where they're at and where you want them to get to. And I think that he was like on his way. He wasn't quite there, but he had moved forward from where he had started, for sure. And then I think that with Holding Myself Accountable, I think that it was an honest effort to try to hold himself accountable in the way that he could at that time, with limited understanding of what really he had done. With that being so poorly received when he felt like he was actually trying, then it led to an open conversation where he retracts everything and he gets all defensive and he's like, all right, fine. Then I didn't do any of this. You didn't want to hear my admission about 2 of these cases? Fine. I didn't do any of it then. Fine. And then he gets into that defensive posture instead of trying, again, to listen to what people are saying. and have a conversation. Which, the one that he titled An Open Conversation was the least conversational one of those two, of course. But I think he was trying with holding myself accountable. And I think it got a little squashed by the internet. And I wish that people had been just like a touch more understanding and like seen that like he wasn't all the way there toward where we wanted him to be, but he was taking some steps, and that was better than nothing, which is what we have now, apparently. But I understand why people were upset too, because it was incomplete. It was not everything that we wanted it to be. And ultimately, like in terms of like, I'm not the one to accept the apology. I was not victimized by him or anything like that. And it's just, it's tough. I'm not as, I guess I give people a lot of chances that a lot of other people might not necessarily give them. So I understand that I come into it a little bit softer than a lot of other people, and I'm not necessarily correct for doing that. So, whoop, there we go. So he says, he tried to explain all this in holding myself accountable, but it just didn't come out right, he reflects. I've been effed over by so many, I've been fucked over by men so many different times. At this point, I just want a fucking boyfriend. Somebody that's going to love me, that's going to care for me. Desperate. So a lot of times I go into just talking to somebody with rose-colored glasses. Critical thinking is so important. Thinking before you act, thinking before you tweet, before you message, before you whatever. Very important, especially when it comes to like dating, romantic, sexual stuff, personal stuff, vulnerable stuff, because you can really hurt people. It's not about what you want, James. Relationships are give and take. They're mutual. They're two people coming together to create something together. It's not just about you wanting a boyfriend to care for you and love you. That's like wanting a servant, So I want to hear what you want to put forward in a relationship, not just you come live in my mansion and we'll go to escape rooms, which is something that I like to do, and we'll I'll look at your armpit hair, which is something that I find interesting and attractive, and it'll be all about me. That's a relationship. I still have to ask though, why didn't he just stick to actual adult dating apps? Great question. Finally! Journalism! Finally! He tells me he previously had accounts on Raya, Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble, and while he did go on dates with people he met there, he ultimately felt too exposed. Okay. So... Okay. Like anyone he swiped right on was going to take screenshots of their conversations or brag to their friends about it. He doesn't fully address that anyone on any social media platform could do the same. Exactly. Finally, we have one paragraph of journalism in this piece of like, yeah, the same thing could happen no matter where you find your date, your boyfriend, your hookup, whatever. If somebody is a bad person with bad intentions or whatever you think is going on there, James, you could find such a person off the street or at the grocery store. It doesn't have to be on any app of any kind. So the most appropriate place for you to go to try to find someone is like, oh, but I can't do that because they can do the same mean thing to me that anybody could do anywhere. Again, how in 2023 is he still saying this? That's what kills me. It's like if he was saying this in 2019, I would get it a little bit more because he was more young and more dumb. But now, after everything that he's been through, give me a break. Come on, it's the same shit over and over. I know, you know, and he knows that Charles is on a mission to rehabilitate his reputation. But, and even though we've already established he's very good at his job, have we? I have to tell you that his regret doesn't come across in person as the opportunistic artifice so many celebrities begrudgingly wade through. It's more that he just seems young. Not that everyone in his position would have the luxury of being perceived as naive or guiltless. This comeback would look a lot different if Charles were not a physically beautiful white man. Okay. Two things. His regret coming across in person, not as being optimistic or opportunistic, but as being, he seems young. The regret that he shows in front of a cosmopolitan interviewer, reporter, journalist, if you will, it's a show. Also, I think that the regret that comes across in person is self-motivated. Like, okay, for example, James does this a lot, where whenever he apologizes for something, he never says, I did this bad thing and I'm sorry. He says, I did this bad thing and it totally sucks. Oh, it sucks that I did that. Or it sucks that happened. He never says, I'm sorry that I did that. He never says, I'm sorry that you were hurt by my actions. I'm sorry that I hurt you. I'm sorry that I said that. I shouldn't have XYZ. In a lot of these videos, he says, and that sucks that you feel that way. Similarly, Colleen Ballinger, because don't worry, I've been looking into it. In her apology videos, first of all, she deflects everything to being everybody else's fault but her own. But when she does admit to something that she did wrong, she doesn't say, like, for example, sending the lingerie to Adam. She doesn't say that was wrong of me. That was so immoral. Like, that was so weird. That was so inappropriate. No, she says, that was so stupid. That was so stupid for me to do. Why did I think that I should do that? And these subtle differences reveal, like, how they're thinking about these things. They're thinking about these things and how it makes them look, not how it impacts the people on the receiving end of their actions. Colleen doesn't feel that it was morally wrong for her to send the lingerie to Adam, in my opinion. She feels that it was stupid for her to do so because it made her look so bad. And that's different. That's self-motivated. That's not caring about how it impacts Adam. Similarly, James Charles does not care. I don't think that he feels that he's done anything wrong in these situations, especially if this is really where he's at, if what he's saying in this article is really what he feels. I don't think that he really is showing signs of feeling that he did anything immoral or inappropriate or wrong. I think this regret has to do with his reputation. He's on a mission to rehabilitate his reputation. It's not about, I feel repentant for this bad thing that I did and I want to make it up to you and I want to do something to pay you back for the harm that I caused you. You know, let me know how I can make it up to you. I promise I'm never going to do that again because it was so wrong and I hurt you. It's about, oh my God, I'm such a fucking idiot for doing this stuff or for letting it get out that I was doing this stuff. It's about himself. You know, at least that's how it appears. So, yeah, I believe that he regrets the news about what he was doing. I believe that he regrets it getting out there, what he was doing. I don't believe necessarily that he regrets doing it. So if his regret comes off as like, oh, he seems young, that's because he's not fully understanding everything that went on. And if he's still in 2023 is not fully understanding why he's canceled, then no, he definitely should remain canceled. He definitely should not come back. That's the whole point. He's not ready to apologize. He's not ready to show us any growth or change because there hasn't been any. There's just been him being like, I'm sad that people are mad at me because I didn't do anything wrong. I just texted people. God, I just sent pictures of my bare ass to people who didn't ask for that. Why? What? What do you want? Fine, I won't message minors anymore. What? I'll ask them their age. Fine. Can I sell my makeup now? God. That's the first thing. The second thing here. Not that everyone in his position would have the luxury of being perceived as naive or guileless. This comeback would look a lot different if Charles were not a physically beautiful white man. Again, for one brief glimmering moment, we have journalism here, we have commentary, we have some social spicy commentary here. What she's saying here, which I do agree with this, but it's a little bit of a random woke point to be trying to win after everything that you just glossed over for like 3 pages or 4 pages. Yeah. If James Charles was a black guy, physically beautiful, let's say, commercially attractive, I think is what she's trying to say. Like, it's marketing speak. A commercially attractive black man accused of everything, there would be no room for a comeback because of how our society is, right? That's essentially what she's getting to. Or if he was a white man who was less attractive than he is, like he's commercially attractive, he has high cheekbones and a sculpted jaw and a symmetrical face, like those Eurocentric beauty standards. He checks a lot of those boxes. If he was like less like traditionally attractive looking, then this comeback would be much more difficult if it was allowed at all, because people are, they're just society, right? Society. But I just don't. I guess she's trying to say that like he just seems young, and then she goes on to say that essentially that means that he's naive or guileless. And if it was somebody else of a different race or like less attractive than him, then they wouldn't have the luxury of being seen as, oh, he's just naive. Oh, he's just guileless. I didn't think that was a excusable way to be. Who am I, though? It would be more like of a harsh, like, no, this person can't come back because of how appearancist everybody is, I guess. I don't know. I'm not necessarily in disagreement. I think that that's probably true. I just think it's a random ass thing to put in here at this point in the article. Like, we're excusing him for everything that he did to minors, but let's try to earn back some woke points by making a point that he's a white man. Come on. I sometimes wonder what I would do if I blew up my professional life in a public, self-immolating way. And the answer is I'd hide away in a surf shack on a remote island, swaddling myself in caftans until my money ran out. Nobody asked. But I'm no James Charles. The traits that made him so famous in the first place, him causing a bunch of drama for himself, continuously lying about a ring light and photo editing. Oh, wait, no, sorry. It's the instinct and ability to constantly seek out the light. Okay, honey. Are the same that have pushed him to endure the backlash and the pain. Okay. He's more cautious now? Doesn't really seem so, but allegedly. Hold on just 1 second, guys. Sorry, I muted because my cat was using the... Hold on. Sorry, my cat was digging in the litter box, and I just didn't think that you would like to hear that. I think we're good for the moment. All right. He's more cautious now, although not so much that he's given up on the DM sliding completely. Why? Why? That was the exact thing that people had an issue with. Why? Instead, he started requiring potential romantic interests to provide IDs before he'll engage. Why? Do you have just a collection of all these people's driver's licenses? Ugh. Why don't you just go places where there's a third party to mediate, like a dating app or like a matchmaker? Jesus. I'm a club bouncer at this point, he says, which even still hasn't stopped the occasional breach of trust. Earlier this year, a TikTok user shared snippets of a flirtatious conversation he had with Charles in which Charles outlines his requirements for a boyfriend. David, I talked about this. Charles also tells me he recently caught a 17-year-old trying to lie about his age by taking out a digit on his ID. So he is really messaging minors. This is the thing. Okay. I get that you want people to provide an ID so you can check their birth year and make sure that they're 18 years old. But can I just tell you, James Charles is 24-ish, I think. When I was 24, when I was 23, I had a conversation with my coworkers at the job that I was at where I was like, I really don't feel comfortable. We were talking about, like, we were at a restaurant and one of the waiters was cute and they were like, oh, Hannah, do you have a crush on him? And I was like, I really don't feel comfortable dating anybody with teen in their year, in their age. And I was 23. He's 24. Let's not aim for the youngest possible, which is what It's Dixie. Hi, are you okay? Oh, it's Joopy. Baba, are you okay? Oh, he's climbing on stuff. He's so big. You guys haven't seen Jupiter for a while, I think. Sorry. Okay, anyway. Like, there's a difference between what's legal and what's moral. And I guess it's for everybody to decide, like, at what point you feel too old to be dating 18 or 19-year-olds. Hi, buddy. But I felt it by the time I was 23, 24. Hi, come here. Sorry, this is not a time to be distracted. And I take a lot of pause when I see that he's like trying to be on the young line. Like when it comes to who he's allowed to date, right? He's 23, he's 24-ish. He can date anybody. He has anybody in the world older than him or about like 5 to 6 years span younger than him that he's legally allowed to date. And he's like, how low can I go? How young can I get and have it still be legal? Like, let's not dance around that line. Why are we aiming young? Why are we so on the line that we are talking with a 17-year-old and thinking that they're 18, hoping that they're 18, but then they send their ID and it's fake and they're actually 17? Like, again, when I talked about this in the series too, like, you can tell when somebody is young. You could just looking at them, looking at their social media, you can look at a face and say, that's a young face. That I think that person is young for me. I just, I'm looking for the critical thinking. I'm looking for the maturity. I'm looking for the, not only protecting himself, but protecting the other person. Excuse me. The other person can be harmed as well, not just James and his career and his brand and his reputation. And there's no concern for the other person either. It throws me off. And so then the 17-year-old is the bad guy because the 17-year-old is lying about his age rather than James Charles being the bad guy because he's trying to date as young as possible. He said it on the Impulsive podcast in 2020 that he would like somebody as young as possible, or somebody older who looks young. Like, come on, dude. Come on. I know that your childhood was messed up by the whole Omegle thing. Maybe there's some stifled development there, whatever. But you figure it out in therapy. You don't figure it out by trying to date minors, allegedly. More than anything, Charles seems focused on his goal, which is, really, to reclaim his spot in the cultural mainstream. And you're not allowed to. Thank you. I see a lot of people saying, oh my god, nothing even happened to him. He got away from this scot-free with no sort of repercussions, he says. That is so far from the truth. It certainly wasn't an overnight thing where now I'm slaying again. But he is trying. Hard. Trying what? Because he's not trying to change. He's just trying to get away with the same old shit. He's trying to find new ways to get away with it. It's not changing. Come on. Whew. Jeez Louise. Eventually, he hired a PR firm to help. They were trying to get me into every single event and premiere and red carpet and show, and every single one of them was a no, he says. But ultimately, the gatekeepers? Okay. Yeah, the way that people gatekept Harvey Weinstein. The way that people gatekept Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, the gatekeepers. By some mysterious but increasingly common mixture of alchemy and time, softened. Charles started making significant appearances. The Grammys, the Scream 6 movie premiere, a Young Hollywood night hosted by Vanity Fair and TikTok. He also, I should note, appeared at a cosmopolitan party in LA. That's not a flex. It's not a flex, Gabrielle. It's not a flex. We featured a predator at our party in LA. What the fuck? And now there's Painted, his biggest business swing yet. The first product, Create Paint, is a set of cream colors in 10 shades encased in tubes to look like art supplies. Designed for use on the eyes, face, and body, the paints are made from a wet lipstick-esque formula that dries matte, Charles explains. You could use them in a billion different ways. We're talking about... We're talking about Painted. We're talking about makeup. Whether his efforts will be rewarded remains to be seen. For his part, Charles seems to believe in absolution, and not just for himself. Yeah, absolution comes when you repent and when you take steps to change. So we need that part to happen first. I wonder why he didn't publicly post a screenshot of that purported... I'll start over. I wonder why he didn't publicly post a screenshot of that purported apology note he got. I also wonder, Gabrielle. Journalism. This is what I'm saying. This is what you should be doing. This is where you make your money, Gabrielle. Wasn't he mad? Didn't he want to give his haters at least one big fat I told you so? Possibly. But if anyone knows what it feels like to have the full wrath of the internet bearing down on you, it's Charles. No, I mean, he knows how to send the full wrath of the internet onto other people, onto Adam McIntyre, onto Ariana Grande, when Ariana Grande unfollowed him. He knows he's the one with millions of fans. Maybe you missed this one, Gabrielle, but the whole power imbalance thing that we talked about, how you mentioned before, like, what if somebody with tens of millions of subscribers DM'd you? Wouldn't you respond? That's the power imbalance thing that we've been talking about this whole time. The full wrath of the internet, not that James Charles doesn't get hate, but he also has a ton of supporters and protectors. So it's why are we giving him this level of sympathy and excuses? Why is Cosmopolitan standing behind this predator? I don't get it. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody fucks up, he says. Don't get me wrong, I definitely don't think people should be able to do whatever they want and not be held responsible for it. It's important that people be held accountable. But I think it's important that we allow people to grow and to learn. Show me where you did then, because I don't see it. What I see is you trying to strategically get around some rules so you can keep doing what you've been doing. The idea that somebody fucks up and then their entire life and career and everything that they've ever worked for should be swept out from under their feet is just horrifying. No, I get that. But it also depends on the type of fuck up. Because if you fuck up in a way that hurts people, there are penalties for that. And especially if you don't really apologize and change your ways, there's also penalties for that. You're not, despite what you think, James Charles, you are not entitled to a career on the internet. That is not a God-given birthright. That is not part of being a U.S. citizen. You are not entitled to all of the things that you think you are entitled to. You are not entitled to time and attention from these minors, from these straight men. You are not entitled to the internet's time and attention just for existing and being popular at one time before everybody found out what a creep you are. You do not deserve any of this. You earn it. And the people who give it to you can also take it away from you. Your fans, the rest of the internet, YouTube itself, if they ever want to get in gear and shut you down. It is a gift. It is a privilege. It is at the whim of your supporters whether or not you succeed. And if they tell you no, move on to something else. When nobody buys your face paints or whatever, like, just move on to something else. You do not have a right to a millions of dollars career on the internet. You might need to start building up your resume and looking at other things. And so be it. That's how careers go sometimes. Your civil rights are not being stripped from you. You still have your $7 million farmhouse. You'll be fine. These days, it feels like our culture at large, for better or for worse, is haltingly reaching the same conclusion. After all, don't the medium-canceled now walk among us? They shouldn't. This fall, while you perhaps wear a James Charles painted eyelid, I won't be, you may find yourself baking out of Alison Roman's new cookbook, never heard of her, following Tinks on your Instagram feed, also not sure of who that is, or thinking about reading Caroline Galloway's memoir, no idea. No, I will not be doing any of those things. In our own messy, imperfect way, maybe we're starting to calibrate our responses to the severity of an offender's offense. I'm sorry, what's more severe than sexual misconduct against minors? Gabrielle. I'm waiting. You're asking for proportionality while you are not being anywhere close to proportional in this article. Get a grip. Maybe we've arrived at the point where we're doling out appropriate levels of social censure. Obviously not. Or maybe we're just tired of keeping score and ready to succumb to the path of least resistance, letting our feeds figure it out for us. What? What? Okay. Okay. And that's it. And that's the end. That's the end of the article. I'm gonna cry. Gabrielle! What is this? What is this? Gabrielle! What the fuck? Ooh, okay. Somebody said her credentials are listed. I'm just going to take a quick look. Gabrielle Bluestone is a journalist, allegedly, and attorney. from New York, whose writing has appeared in the New York Times, the Washington Post, New York Magazine, and Gawker, among others. She's the Emmy-nominated executive producer of Netflix's Fire. I think that's about the Fire Fest. And the associate producer of Different Flowers, winner of the 2017 Kansas City Film Festival Prize. Her first book, Hype, was published in 2021. And I think this is the only article of hers that's on Cosmo, because it's the only one that's here. Hopefully she doesn't write any more. Hopefully she doesn't write any more anywhere, because this was bad. Like, I don't know how to write a more uninformed or purposefully obtuse article about James Charles than this one. This isn't about cancel culture. He's receiving a lenient response compared to what he did, Gabriel. And I'm shocked that anybody would try to spin that in some other direction than what it clearly is. Again, tell me what's more severe than allegedly sexting minors, and we can go from there in terms of proportionality of response. Jesus. Whew. My God. Sorry, guys. Okay, so that took a little longer than I thought it would, but like, wowie wow. Using the creepiness rule, JC shouldn't be dating 18 years old. 24 divided by 2 equals 12, plus 7 equals 19 minimum dating age. That's interesting. Okay. I've heard that like equation before. I didn't know that it was called the creepiness rule, but that makes sense. All right, I want to see what you guys are saying. All of her other articles are about scam artists and fraud, so I don't know why she's taking on this type of piece. See, that makes sense. This is very much outside her wheelhouse, it seems. And then maybe that's why it sucks. Because she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. What did she get paid for? This is what I want to know. Same. He's actually collecting IDs? That's an identity theft risk. Thank you! Especially if he still pays his people who could access the info, a pittance. Yeah. So you have just like a collection of people's IDs? Like, what are you? That's also not a good solution. I don't. I haven't really gotten the idea that he's good at his job from this article. Same. And therein lies the problem. He thinks is about him. He doesn't have any cognition of anyone else. That's it. It's like he cannot see past the end of his own nose, and it's just blatantly, glaringly obvious. Ay. It was better than a ukulele apology. One of them was. Okay. I think we're all pretty well on the same page. All right, cool. So yeah, like that's I just had a lot of thoughts about that article. If the question of that article was meant to be a litmus test, right? It was, or what did they say? Like a balloon. They used some kind of an analogy at the beginning. I want to go back. What was it supposed to be? Not a litmus test. A Scooby-Doo. Where is it? Hello? Oh my god. Whatever. So it was some other version of a thing that functions like a litmus test. Whatever. The wording isn't important. So if I hope that they're getting the point here that this is not acceptable. First of all, this extremely biased coverage of this extremely delicate topic is not acceptable. I think Cosmopolitan should be ashamed of this coverage. They should retract this article because it's so bad and it's so inept and inadequate and just inaccurate and just like not close to being enough. Good God. I think that Gabrielle really needs to stick to her wheelhouse if she seems to apparently focus more on scam artists and fraud and stuff. Like, that's important stuff too. I did my Logan Paul videos. That's very important stuff to talk about. Talk about what, do what you know. Do what you're good at. This is not it. This is not it. Do better somewhere else. And yeah, again, Cosmo, maybe don't hire her for any more pop culture articles. She seems like not to necessarily be caught up on a lot of that. Definitely not internet. See, like, this is also like internet culture moves a little quicker than I guess like traditional media or other sources. So like you have to be ready for you have to be like really kept up to date. Although again, like the last like thing that happened with James Charles was like 6 months ago, so you could research that stuff. You could watch my series. It's still there. It's like 9 hours long. It's plenty of information to help you next time, Danielle. Yeah, I don't think that James Charles is coming back. I think that this being a litmus test, it's failing the test, whatever test this is supposed to be. And James should not come back. Whatever kind of comeback he's trying to do, because he's been uploading, he's been posting. I think he hasn't been having as many views and everything as he wanted, but I think wherever he's at, he should be extremely grateful to have what he has right now, because he's lucky to have what he has. What he's done is shameful. His current attitude is shameful. It's embarrassing. This is bad. Somebody asked, has Cosmopolitan or the writer of the article been getting a lot of feedback or pushback? I think so, because it's been talked about a lot. Like, a lot of people have been talking about it, at least on YouTube, and just saying, like, this is ridiculous. Different versions of what I'm doing, I guess. So I would consider that a decent amount of pushback, I don't know if it's enough that they'll take it seriously. We'll see. Here's hoping. Yeah. I think that's that on that. If this article was a litmus test on whether or not James Charles is still canceled, the answer is yes. James Charles is still canceled, and this article is canceling Cosmopolitan. Rather than bringing back James Charles, it's just canceling Gabrielle, whoever the fuck, and Cosmo. So, good job, guys. A+ job with that. So, yeah, still canceled, should be prosecuted. Yep. That's true, Mina. In my opinion, I share that opinion. All right, so at this, I feel like that's pretty much what I have to say on that. Sorry, I just like stretched weirdly. It looked like I was raising my hand. That's pretty much what I have to say on that. But feel free to keep, chatting about it. I'm keeping the chat up. I wanted to thank you, Mina. Other than that, I hope you're doing better, Hannah. I wanted to fill you guys in on where I'm at and when I'm coming back and that kind of stuff. So if you're here, thank you so much for being here. I wasn't expecting to have this is a good number of people. What is this? We have 70 people here viewing right now, which is the most I've ever had in a live stream. Like, thank you for being here. And especially since I just came back after being gone forever, way longer than I expected to be. Um, and so let me tell you the story about that a little bit. Sorry, my voice is like going. Um, so the oh boy, oh boy. Once upon a time, it was May of 2023, and I was basically. I think I might do a separate stream about this, um, to kind of talk a little bit more fully about what I've been going through for the past year and a half or so with insomnia. Um, but I think that that's what I need to communicate with, to you guys before I come back, is like, so I've been dealing with insomnia for about a year and a half. I haven't really talked about it much on the channel because I haven't really, it took a while before I recognized it as a problem, as opposed to just like, oh, I got some bad sleep for a little while, but it'll come back. Because I've always been able to change up my sleep schedule when I needed to. But after about like 4 or 5 months of only getting 5 hours of sleep every night, I was like, this really isn't going away, is it? Huh, that's weird. And what's interesting is it was during my James Charles series that I published. It's been about a year since I published episode 2, and then about 6 weeks later, during I think like the end of August, I published episode 3. That's when this time last year was around when I was like kind of starting to realize that like this is more than just my sleep schedule is not adjusting back to what it used to be. This is like, I'm not sleeping enough. And my issue is not falling asleep. I tire myself out enough that I crash. I kind of feel it coming on, relatively soon. So I don't think I'll be here longer than another half hour. But I, so, last year I was dealing with the lead up to my weight loss surgery, and then I had my surgery, and then I had recovery. And during the surgery recovery, I had like 3 weeks off at home. And during those 3 weeks, I slept like a baby, normal sleep schedule. And I was like, oh, great, it's gone. No more insomnia. It was just I was stressed out about the surgery because there was like months of lead up to the surgery. So there was like all these appointments and all this stuff, these classes that I had to do. There's all this stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, great. So this is just me stressing out about the surgery, and it'll now it's gone. But then when I went back to work after my 3 weeks off for like surgery and recovery, the insomnia came back, and I was like, oh shit, that's not going away. And it was November of last year. I think kind of like last week of November when I went back. So then it was the holidays, and then it was the new year, and there was just stuff going on. And I had taken time off from YouTube, so I was like, I gotta get back to my videos. And I was dealing with this monetization problem with YouTube where, like, basically they were. I published 2 videos in a row that they didn't like. Like, they gave me, like, the content was too edgy for them. It was like the second Gabby Hanna video that I did. I ended up taking those videos down because of it was the only way to fix the problem. So I had the 2 Gabby Hanna videos. The second one that I did, they gave me a yellow rating instead of green. And then I did the Shane Dawson supports creepy McCreep face. What's his name? Creepy nasty creep boy. Whatever. It's on my channel. That video, second in a row, was also like a yellow rating from YouTube. So having 2 in a row, YouTube was like, she's not listening, and they decided to parent me, and they took away, like, they squashed my views for like 3 months. The videos I put out in December and January and February, up until the video that I did with Shane Dawson and yes, Destry, thank you. Yes, the Destry Smith video. After the Destry Smith video, they squashed all my videos. It was my weight loss video, my follow-up for my weight loss surgery video, my problematic HR video, a end of the year roundup video, and then my 2 Logan Paul videos. Like, all of them got squashed, and that was like months of work for me. And I was like, why is this happening? I didn't do anything different. But then I was looking back at it later with with Avery, who was in one of my recent videos, and she's wonderful. I think she's here still, and she knows a lot about Google and how all of that stuff works. And so she was advising me on like how to fix up my channel to get the monetization like going again and get the views coming again. Hi Avery, how are you? Avery's still here. And so she helped me, like, we like honed in on like, okay, it's these 2 yellow videos in a row. But like, so we fixed the problem, and now like, thank God, my most recent, the Illuminati video, like, is back up to like the views that I normally get. So this is much more of like, oh, thank God, like things are normal again. And I'm very happy about that, because I've been hoping for a while that I could like do this as a bit of a career without like, not to put any pressure on you guys or anything, but like, just I like this. So when you don't get any views, you can't do that. But so that was definitely hanging over me for a while, of like, maybe it was just the videos I was making sucked, and so when you put up videos and they perform badly, then that, it feels bad. But then also it's like, now it's this ongoing problem of like, I'm putting up videos that should do well. Like, I thought my Logan Paul series would do better, just because it was more topical than like me complaining about my HR policy handbook. But that also didn't do well, and I was like, oh my God, what's happening? It's like existential crisis for me, right? So like, I couldn't sleep for all this time. Even though, and then like, I did a mental health like re-diagnosis from February to March as well. And all this time I kept having this growing feeling of like, I need a month off. Something like, I need a break in a way that I can't describe, because I just feel so worn down, and so like, I'm hanging on by my fingernails to everything that's going on in life. And I kept hoping that like, push through, work hard, try hard, grind, whatever, and then stuff will start to turn around. Because also sometimes you can't take a break because the timing is not right. Things are not right for you to be able to take a break. But the thing is, the longer you have insomnia, the longer you're sleep deprived, the more it like negatively impacts your brain. And that's what I'm learning recently. So, yeah, I have felt this building up feeling of like, I really need time off. And then finally in May, I ended up having like an emotional day at work, and my HR was like, why don't you go talk to your doctor and see. Oh, hi, Rachel. This will stay up. Yes, I'm going to leave the stream up. So yeah, in May, I had like a really bad day at work. I was like crying in the HR office. She was like, why don't you talk to your doctor and see what your doctor recommends, wink, wink. And so I did, and the doctor was like, how'd you take 8 weeks off? And I was like, who, me? And whatever. I was just really grateful to have the time off, and I had it wasn't PTO, it was like through the state of Connecticut, FMLA, and Connecticut paid leave, regardless of what your job is, if you get FMLA, because it's a medical problem or a disability, which I was basically had so much insomnia and anxiety building up that I like couldn't be a human. And so I, especially also recovering from the surgery, like I was eating these tiny amounts and like not getting calories into me. And I would have these times where like I didn't realize I was hungry, and then all of a sudden I was faint, and because your stomach reacts differently to food and like hunger signals and stuff. There was a lot going on all at once. And I didn't want to like say too much about it to you guys, because like, of all the people who can help me, love you guys, but like it's not, I don't want to burden you of all people with like stuff that you cannot help me with, you know, like so there was a lot going on. And finally I got this like breath, this like relief to take this time off from work. And I was like, okay, cool. So I have 8 weeks off. Whoa, longest break I've ever had. Like, wow. Let me go to like doctor's office and like get a sleep study done, whatever. And like that all took so long. It took so long that like my my break started on May 9th. I published the Illuminati video, I think on May 14th or 15th. And then I was like, oh, okay, great. Now really like my break starts now that the video is done. And then, thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. And then after once the break started, it just took a long time to get the wheels going of like getting the appointments that I needed and getting the sleep study. And then the sleep study was postponed and there was like all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. It just takes forever to do anything, get anything accomplished. And then I asked for another 3 weeks extension. So I'm not starting to go back to work in any capacity until after July 31st. Other than like doing this, but this is like more fun than like work. And then oh shit, I need to send an email. Sorry. Because everything kind of like was delayed and just like took a long time, I haven't really been able to treat the insomnia in a way that I feel like is working. But I have started therapy, which is good because I for a long time I think I was just in such like, you know how like if you're in a musical or like a play or anything, you have like tech week wherever you're in crunch mode, or like people talk about video game developers have like crunch mode where like the last week before the game launches, or like you're in such a tight time constraint to get a game together before you launch it. They put you in crunch mode instead of like just giving you more time, then you can do it in a relaxed fashion. I was like constantly in crunch mode until finally like on break I was able to relax a little bit more. And I'm trying to avoid going back into like crunch mode once I start working again. So I think there was another point there, but I lost it. And that's part of like what's happening. So like I'm at a place now where like I'm realizing some of the ways that insomnia has impacted my brain. And I want to eventually have, yes, sometimes that feeling of crunch mode does not leave. Yes, 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 yes. Crunch mode for like a year and a half. Um, Part of how insomnia is impacting my brain these days, I want to get some treatment going sooner than later. We're working on it. It's just taking longer. And I think that what I'm realizing is I'm moving slower because my brain's not working so good anymore the way that it used to like a year and a half ago. Not that it doesn't work, but it just takes me so much longer to remember something, to get to the end of a sentence that I'm creating in my head, to like piece together points. So like all of my meticulous bitch, now I don't feel confident calling myself meticulous anymore. Just I guess just a bitch at this point, because I'm not quite seeing things the way that I used to be able to. And but what I've also heard is that like as much as my executive functioning difficulties are very present right now, they're like my left brain feels like a gaping void. It feels empty. Like nothing is happening there. But what I've seen, you know, what I've kind of heard is like as you sleep, it will come back. So the first and best thing that I need to do is get my sleep in order. I'm seeing a therapist. I had a sleep study done. I'm getting some tests like tomorrow, and I'm continuing down this path. I think that what's frustrating is like I wanted to be better by the time I was done with my break. And I'm not going to be done getting better by the time I finish my break. But what I think I will be is better enough to come back to YouTube and to working. I'm going to be working part-time, like a part-time day job instead of full-time anymore, which part of why we moved, I'm in a new setting. Part of why we moved is to pay less for housing. So there's less pressure on me to work full-time because I'm going through a lot of stuff right now. Actually, my fiance he just got home. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Yeah. Whoa. Okay. So, oh, people say hi. The chat says hi.
Yo.
So yeah, so I'm going back to day job being part-time and then ramping up my YouTube. I'm specifically going to try to stream much more, take cognitive steps for self-care. Sometimes the stress of being in any way unwell can make it difficult to do any bettering. Yes, yes. I feel that for freaking sure. Yeah. But yes, I need to do that stuff. Oh, where is he? Come here, Bubba. Come here. Is Jupiter pick upable? He's so big. Do you see how big he is? He's freaking huge. Look at him. He's like the size of a dog. He's so big. And he and Dixie, it's a miracle. The two of them are just getting along like they were fighting. That is Jupiter. Yes, this is Jupiter. He's like a giant freaking cougar. Look at him. He's so big. He just turned 3? 2. He just turned 2. What do you think? Okay, he's big and absolutely heavy. This is a side note, but one of the other things that was causing me stress was like we were moving and then we have our cats, right? We have Dixie and Jupiter. Dixie is elderly and small. Jupiter is 2 and gigantic, and they have not gotten along for ever since we got Jupiter in 2021, and they've just been fighting, and we've had to keep them in separate rooms while we were at the other place. And then we get over here, we're moving, and we're like, holy shit, like we can't even figure out how to make them work together in our current place. Moving to a new place, first of all, we're moving, so that's enough stress. And then we're in a new spot. Are they going to adjust? Are they going to be okay? I don't know. But they've done beautifully. They've done so well. Like, I could cry thinking about it. We've been here, what's today? The 17th. We've been here for less than a month. We've been here for like 2.5 weeks because we moved on the 28th of June. They've had a couple of contentious moments, but for the most part, honestly, that's just because, like, if they're hungry or if they like if, for example, the house is quiet because my fiance and I are out and about doing something, like let's say we're grocery shopping, then we come home and we're talking and we're carrying groceries and we're putting things away and we're like shouting and we're like, ah. So it's a bunch of, we bring a bunch of noise in with us and start to overstimulate them, and then they're like, wait, and then like they start, they'll fight each other or whatever, because they're just like letting out this energy. But they're doing so great here. They have so much more space here, which I think really is the biggest like change in a positive way. I think they're just like less like up in each other's grill in this space, and it's truly wonderful. Oh yeah. Dixie's probably less territorial now in the new place. Yes, she's well. They're both okay. I remember when they were kitten in the creep show video. What a sweetie. Yes, Jupiter. Yeah, Jupiter was just a few months old in the creep show video. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, he was so little. I loved him. I still love him, but I loved when he was just like a little fuzzball. Okay. But anyway, so like that was a really big stressor for me because before we got here, there was like a 50-50 shot that they could do what they did, which is come to the new space and kind of bond as being the two new kids at school. And it's neither of their space, as opposed to previously we had Dixie already and then we brought Jupiter in. And so it was her territory that he was invading. And now it's nobody's territory. They're both going in and there's more space. So they're kind of making a whole new relationship together here in this space, which there was a 50-50 shot that could work or could not work. And I was very concerned about what if it didn't work. And I don't know what we would have done. But like today, for example, I went in there into that's the bedroom. Oh, thank you. I went into the bedroom. Jupiter was laying on the bed. I went in there to eat my lunch. Dixie came along with me, trotting, following along, and she like jumped up on the bed. She like got herself settled, and then she saw that Jupiter was sitting there, laying down because he had been sleeping, and he like had woken up a little bit when we came into the room, and she went over to him because he's always the one that's been attacking her, but she went over to him and gave him a little sniff greeting. And I was just like, my heart was melting because that was the first time I've seen her approaching him with kindness just to greet him. Yeah?
Forgot to tell you that exact thing happened, earlier in the day too, where he was slumped on the bed, and I went in there, and she came up and smelled him, and he smelled her, and I was like, "Wow, you guys, good work in here." And
they're gonna be
Dixie
friends.
walked away.
They're gonna be friends. Do we have an inversion table?
What?
Someone is asking if they see an inversion table. Is it the chair? We have a blue chair. It's like an anti-gravity chair.
It's a beach chair, but I like using it inside. It's very comfortable.
Was it your mom described it as an anti-gravity chair?
Yeah, she just didn't. I don't know what her problem was with it. She didn't like it very much.
Yeah, is that what you're? Let me know if that's what you were looking at.
But I'm still trying to find a good place for this to stay.
So yeah, it was just. Yes, it looks like a foldable inversion table, she says.
I don't know what an inversion table is.
I feel like I've heard of it before and I don't remember. But yeah.
Oh Jesus. My brain is all hot.
I feel you.
From work.
I gotta wrap up. I love you.
I love you. I'm just looking for notes.
Oh.
I found it.
Okay. Cool.
I don't know if I might skip them. I'm gonna skip the mirtazapine because otherwise I'm gonna sleep and I'm gonna have a really hard time waking up.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh. Oh, an inversion table that you strap into and it flips you to decompress the spine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got you.
That makes sense. That's like, yeah, like I feel like I've heard that before. Anyway, moral of the story is it was an extremely stressful year, and on top of like I wasn't even sleeping, and the two I'm sure were compounding each other. And then now I'm on this break, and I think it kind of makes sense in hindsight that like having such a long period of stress is not going to be like resolved in a short break. But I feel like I've gotten to a certain point of like rest and recovery and checking off a lot of things on the list, like moving and the cats being okay, and like kind of fixing some stuff with my YouTube channel and getting my shit together a little bit. So now I feel a little better about. Baby, do you mind shutting the door if you're gonna bang stuff?
That was the end of it.
Oh, okay, thank you. Sorry. Oh, I hear. See, they're fighting upstairs now. I heard Dixie yowling.
I'm gonna let it be for a minute.
Okay. She's doing a good job at setting her boundaries with him, though. They take care of it on their own now. They're good in that way. So yeah, I have a path for moving forward, and I'm not like where I wanted to be at this time. My brain is like moving a little slow, and that is something I'm going to have to figure out how to strategize with that and how to move forward with that essentially. Like for example, I want to stream more so that I'm not like building these gigantic analysis videos, but I'm just doing a little bit more in the moment, especially when stuff is time sensitive. Um, and then that way it's just a little bit, I feel like there's more pressure on the big long videos to be perfect. I cannot be perfect right now. And I know that. And that's just something that I kind of have to be okay with, and that I hope that you guys all are also okay with. And that like we kind of get to a place where what I've kind of always wanted the channel to be, where it's a discussion, and like sometimes I'm gonna fuck up and say stuff wrong, and you guys can correct me. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, yes, thank you, yes, and I'll try my best, and I'll miss a fact, and I'll connect a dot, or I'll not connect a dot, or I'll but as long as we're all in a conversation together, that's really what matters the most. And having streaming, I feel like, is an easier format to do that, and then that way I can stream a little bit more often than I can post videos for sure, and be able to hang out with you guys also as well. That's what I've always loved about social media, is the like social part of it. um so yeah, I'm not, I think I'm not better but I'm not better. It's like, I guess it's the spectrum like we were talking about before. Like, this is where I want to be. I'm like getting there. And when I start streaming again, it might be like streaming more consistently, more in like August. Hopefully at some point in August I'll start that. And then in between, as stuff just kind of arises, then I will pop on to do stuff like this article with James Charles. It was ridiculous. And then if there's other moments like this, I do want to talk about Colleen. And then I think I did see a request or two about Illuminati. So like for example, I might stream a series about Colleen. Once I start, like I'll set that up as a path to go down for a few different streams instead of making one big gigantic video. And then also I might do like I'll stream, for example, but then I'll cut out a good chunk of it to publish as a video. Some honestly kind of similar to what like Adam McIntyre does, and Jarvis and some other people who like they'll stream, but they'll just do a few edits, and it's mostly a little bit more raw what they publish on their channel as videos. Would that bug you guys? Let me know. Weigh in the comments here. So like I'm streaming this on YouTube and on Twitch. Both at the same time right now, simultaneously. I can only see the YouTube comments. I'm so sorry if anybody is watching this on Twitch. I can't see your comments. I'm so sorry, but I appreciate you very much if you're there. So if I stream onto YouTube, and then like, so this stream that I'm doing right now, for example, is quite a bit longer than just the section about the James Charles article. But then I like cut out the section about the James Charles article, edit a little, publish it as a video, because I think that there are a lot of people who get more notifications for the straight up videos. Would that bug you guys to have it available in the two different formats as opposed to like just having the stream or just the video? You know? Would it feel too repetitive? I don't know. Let me know in the chat now or in the comments if you're watching on the replay. Because that's what I want to do. I want to provide the content in the way that's like the the most interest, like I guess like the best for, like, I have more people viewing my videos than viewing my streams. Streams are much more kind of disorganized as you could see, and a little more unedited, so I think there are people who like edited videos and there are people who like streams, and so if I provide both, some people might like one or the other. Some people might like both. I just don't want to like annoy people with like too many different versions of the same thing and like be repetitive. That's what my favorite true crime streamer does. Bose vs. the World. She will stream on Twitch. Wait for the exclusivity clause to expire after 24 hours. That's it. 24-hour exclusivity. And then post the clips or a VOD on YouTube. I've wondered about that with Twitch, where I'm like, why don't you just double stream to YouTube all the time? But that makes sense, Mina. Seems reasonable. All right, cool. Thanks, guys, and keep letting me know as well in the comments. I don't want to assume too much, and I don't want to bug. But yeah, I feel like streaming for some reason feels a little like lower pressure for me for some reason than doing the videos, and it seems like an easier way with my schedule for me to like do. Oh, congrats, Mina! Mina got affiliate on Twitch. Good job. That's tough. Building the channel from the start is no joke. Good job. That's awesome. So yeah, like that wasn't like I might do another. Oh, yeah, Mina. Oh, there's Dixie? Oh, wow. You might see both of them tonight. I might do a more like official video about my insomnia journey and update and everything in a separate setting than this live stream, but like this is just kind of to update you guys and let you know like where I'm at as the end of my break goes, according to the state of Connecticut at least, and as like the like August is kind of a benchmark month for me because that's when I'm starting my part-time day job up, and that's when I was hoping I was going to start up whatever I'm doing with YouTube streaming videos, social media, whatever. So as I approach that time and I'm not feeling as well as I hoped I would feel, I think I still can do something. It's just going to need to adjust to like what works for me right now. And I think that what works for me right now is streaming once or twice a week and giving myself permission not to be perfect. So if everybody's on board with that, then I think we can move forward pretty well here. And then I will keep updating you as I get better, because I will get better. It's just going to take more time than I thought it would, and that's okay. It's just another journey. It's another long freaking process. So be it. And I will keep you updated as we go about how it goes along the way. So yeah, I think that's that. Thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate when you're asking me about my health and you're watching the videos while I'm gone. I really appreciate how many of you like took out the time to watch my content while I was gone, because I was afraid that the channel would die, and this is my first time back and I am still a little bit like tentative about like, oh god, I hope it's all right. Just don't push yourself too hard. You getting better is more important than a video, even if we do meet at stream. Thank you, Taya. I appreciate that. And that's what I love about you guys is like somehow I've been blessed with like the best, like most like mental health conscious audience. You guys are so great to me. So I know that like you'll be fine with whatever I do, and I really appreciate that, and like with prioritizing my health and stuff. So I appreciate you guys, and I know that you're there's a really really lovely core of you who just like you're so compassionate and don't lose it, you know. We need we need people like that to be creating content but also to be in the comments like letting us know that we're on the same page. Take care of yourself as best you can. Thank you so much, guys. All right, yeah, speaking of taking care of myself, I have to go. It's late for me. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave any questions, comments, concerns in the comments below or in the chat. I hope you like the stream. I hope you subscribe to my channel. I hope that you, what else? Set your notifications to all. Whatever else. Where's Dixie? Dixie! Oh, she ran off. I'll try to show her to you in the next one. She looks pretty much the same. Jupiter is the one that was growing for a while. He was the one that looks different, but Dixie looks the same. She's doing good. She's a little congested, but otherwise she's doing good, and we're giving her medicine. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you being at my first stream, kind of back. It's like a soft launch, and I'll see you again soon, I hope. So. Peace be with you always. I do genuinely mean that. Bye.